Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's card is actually the birthday card of my mother-in-law. It can be easily transformed into a Mother's Day card. You can also keep it a general mom card, or if you have other dies from Pretty Pink Posh or big alphabet die sets, you can make it into any occasion you want. Now, about my mother-in-law. She really adores cats. She has one, Marvin, and he's like black and he has these white spots on his belly. It's really adorable. So especially for her, I took the My Pet Kitties from Mama Elephant out of my stack of stamps and started coloring. I have this stamp set for a while now. I already created a few cards with it, I think, in the past. And I'm really glad that I'm taking a My Elephant stamp set today because it's one of the brands that I also adore, but I know that I feature my favorite things, Hello Bluebird, quite often here. So maybe this card is of interest to you. Maybe you have this adorable stamp set, or maybe you have a similar set that you can use on the card like I'm showcasing today. So I have these two cats and I try to sort of color them as Marvin. I'm using some W's for that. You can also go for cold grays, but I really tend to love the warm grays. Whenever it comes to critters, it's just, I don't know, it seems a bit cuter or nicer, or well, I don't know how to say it, but you know what I mean. So I just did some quick coloring here. I used the shadow where the backs are from the critters, and then of course a few elements here on the inners of the ears. For the accessories and the butterflies, I'm going into that warm orangey yellow kind of vibe. I'm also using yellow later on my background, so I wanted to use like gray and yellow, which was a combination, I think, from last year, or is it already 2 years, from the Pantone colors. Really gorgeous. It works perfectly. It is bright but at the same time muted. It is fun but at the same time also a bit more serious. However you want to see it, I really love this combination, and the yellow really jumps off of the gray. So coloring is almost done. All the combinations you can find on my blog post, and then I'm going to use the matching dies to cut all of these elements out, and we will continue with the background and the sentiment. Now I'm going to use these sentiments more from Pretty Pink Posh. Well, actually I have the mom, the dad, I think I have love, but I don't have the dies, which is a shame. I need to get that one. I have hugs, I think. Is there an Xmas? I think there is. Well, I just love this die, so I'm not going to use the stamp set. I'm just using the die. I want this big mom to appear. That's also why it's great for Mother's Day cards. And you can stop right there. Of course, I added an additional sentiment, which led to a birthday card, but that's totally up to you. So to give my background a bit extra, I took this, my favorite things, rippled background. I added Buttercup from Concord and Mind, which is this gorgeous yellow ink, and I'm just adding my paper on top, which is something that I never did before, and I'm going to do this more often. If I have a background stamp like this, just make sure to try to press everywhere, and if you have like a tool to help you get an even pressure, you can go over it with that as well, to just make sure you have everything covered. Now I'm going to die cut an A2 size panel out of this, but I'm immediately going to die cut the mom as well. I want it to be die cut. I'm going to die cut the mom out of white cardstock as well, and I will put it higher up on my panel to just play a bit with dimension, as well as let that mom show, although we have that continuous pattern. So I'm just making sure that the mom is completely straight on top, and then I will run it through my die cutting machine, and we will start assembling everything on top of a card base. So to not lose like the positioning of the inner of the O and have the right M, I just kept the mom exactly as I die cut it on the left side. I'm going to put this panel on top of my card base, and then I will first make sure that I can inlay that inner piece from the O. So here I have a white piece, then I'm inlaying the inner, and then I'm just going to make sure that I keep my letters with the pattern exactly as I die cut it, because if you switch those M's, it can be that your pattern is completely ruined. So just take that in mind, to not put them a bit crooked and then use the wrong M. Also the O, make sure that you add it the right way up, because it is perfect, the O, so you can easily turn it around, but then the pattern wouldn't work. So as you can see here, just by adding multiple layers underneath, you can see the mom, even though the pattern is a continuous thing on this card, and that's something that I really love doing. It is subtle, but it's present, and that's also something that is a strength on a card, in my opinion. So I'm just using some liquid glue. Any glue will work, but depending on what you find the easiest, this is great. Now for my images, I'm going to use some thin foam squares. Since the letters are higher up and they are kind of overlapping, I just made sure to not add any thin foam squares there where I am going to overlap with the letters, so that it wouldn't get bulky while adhering it. So thin foam squares, and for the rest some liquid glue, and then we're just tucking it right on top of that sentiment. The same for the other cat. And then one of the butterflies I'm going to put on the top of the nose, or the tip of the nose from the cat, and then the other one will be below the playing cat. Now you can stop right here. It is great for moms in general, for any occasion, for birthdays even, or for Mother's Day. But if you want to, you can always add a secondary sentiment that might clear up your specific intentions of the card, but you don't need to. So to keep it in my gray and yellow kind of vibe here, I took mushroom cardstock from Concord, which is this gorgeous gray, and then I took my white embossing powder from Ranger, super fine detail, to add my sentiment on top. As you also saw me doing, I masked off a part of my sentiment because I didn't need the first part. So once everything is heat set, I'm going to get rid of that excess anti-static powder that I have on top. That will really help the sentiment jump out. And then I decided to take some sentiment strips dies from Mama Elephant to help me die cut the sentiment completely straight. And then once I die cut it, I had to decide where I was going to add it, because there are multiple ways to add this sentiment, and I didn't even show you everything, but you can definitely let that butterfly sit on top of the sentiment, put it really low, put it even on the left corner, but I ended up putting it kind of centered on the M, but on the right side. Just make sure on these simple cards to use a ruler or anything to get your sentiment straight, because that's really going to be something that stands out if it is not. To emphasize the eyes, I use just a black pen here, and I'm going to put some white jelly roll pen details all over. I first thought only on the eyes, and then I just went for it, and I tried to add more white jelly roll pen details on all of the images, which is really something cute, but still something out of my comfort zone. But that is my card. This was my card for my mother-in-law. She really loved it with the cats, and she also recognized her cutie in it. So I was really glad with the end result. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you got inspired. I'll be back soon with some more crafty inspiration. I wish you all an incredible day. Bye!